This is IBM Museum. So I have an unboxing video just to get back in the swing of making videos again. This came in today. I hope it's not dog food. I kind of know what the contents are, but I'm gonna get turned around and we'll start opening this box and looking at the contents inside. So this is the top view. I've gone through and I've masked out using masking tape, what masking tape is designed for, to mask, and can go through and just hover a little bit over the top of the front view of this, because I may want to go back to that, revert to that camera after and that's just code slipping out. I mean, I don't think anybody can scan codes from video, and I don't hope that there's not any identifying information inside, or you'd have to go to like a full video edit. And got some interesting packing to this as spacers. And I think I've seen the back of this type of drive before. And I'll probably cover this as the first group of the interface and the drive, just because I have one of these already, these particular drives, and I've got the components for it. And then there should be one other drive, and I didn't have a version of this one yet. Oh, okay, I'm trying to see if anything else popped off. It's kind of interesting for the, I'll get the box moved out of the way, and then so we can look at that. There's I think the latch, yeah, fell off of that. There's something sticking. That's all the contents of that box. And yeah, there was it was sticking on the front of this. Is there a extension for that puts the lever? Oh, okay, that's what that is. The drive inside has slid back. We'll get to opening all these cases, and things like this are not really any big deal to me. I'm mainly wanting to go through and reproduce. Let me get switched back to the front view. I can go through and I'll open up this drive just to get the face piece and the lever reattached and functional. But I mainly want to go through and I want to open these units up just to find the pinout for these. And this is all these different types. They have a DB37, but they each have kind of a different way of the interface to that. And I'd actually not even seen this particular drive or from this brand before for the PS2, although I knew it existed because I had the little interface board. And Cumulus did, besides whatever else they may have done, they did memory boards for the microchannel PS2s. So let's just continue on. I can go through. I do want to timeline this. I do want to have this kind of organized for the different drives and interfaces of these. So that's the Cumulus drive. And I'll get out the components that I have for the Cumulus. Dig around, set these aside for when I go over that here later. And I do have one of these interface boards, and hold it right side up for the chip. It's on there. There's some lettering on the back. Now what this did, just to use an example or have an example, we can kind of use this as demonstration. This is ultimately for the Model 70, a riser that goes through to where normally it has the drive A and the drive B connector over here. But it's this little T arrangement. And these little interface boards, they go into, well, let's look at the bottom side of this for the lettering. Get the lettering right side up. Okay, so P2 to external drive, it's identified as a floppy adapter 100. Copyright 1987 Cumulus Corporation. It's even got a place for writing the serial number on these little things. And this 2 internal drive, so the bottom side of this is what would go into the edge connector for the B drive effectively. And then on the other end, and this part is relatively common, and you can have even there's even other cable assemblies and things like that, or on some of the particular PS2s to get that 40 pin connection. And this looks like this is probably from the planar. This is for the B drive, and this is ultimately for the A drive after the twist. But just taking that 40 pin edge connector, and I'll separate that to the side for a moment. Okay, and they kind of share, they all share these for the other side you have, and it's keyed up in a particular way, so you can't, hopefully you can't get it backwards, but it just a ribbon cable from that 40 pin edge connector to a bracket for the DB37 cable. And I even have, okay, set my mic down to, maybe the microphone will pick it up better there. I had this one out of the box. Let's go through. That's a pretty good view anyway. Here's yet another one of those 40 pin. Since these are all relatively universal between the different brands, there's the external DB37, but I have yet another one of the. Oh, and this is this would be for this sort of adapter. It's got a key pin, but it doesn't have the the shroud for a particular way. But you probably just match up pin 1 for 1 in this assembly. I wonder if I have a. Okay. Oh. So not exactly. This has even a block out of a pin. The manufacturer going further to making sure that that adapter wasn't put in the wrong way. But it'd be something like this for going through maybe this on a mul 80 or mul 60, and where the B drive ultimately ties into that. Pin 1 for 1. Actually, no, I think it's still not going to mate because it has that pin. It has all the 40 pins on that connector. And just takes it to the back of the system where you connect up the DB37. And the interface, I mean, it's bound between the brands to maybe have that pinout be a little bit different. And that's what I want to do, is I want to draw out schematics for all these to be able to pair the right systems with the right boards. I don't think this plus adapter will necessarily be in this sort of thing. I think the plus adapters, this is mainly for like an internal tape drive system, and it has the power tap. But that is the little adapter for the Cumulus type adapter for that external drive. And I'll go through and test these. And this is a conventional and typically a 1.2 megabyte drive that's inside of these enclosures. And I mean, I suppose it could be a 360 KB, but a lot of the time the manufacturers had the 1.2 megabyte versions and the 360 KB versions. So that is that I'll have to put together the adapter for the Cumulus. Get my microphone back on here just to see if it'll get. It should be getting audio over all this time. Put all those parts separate for the Cumulus adapter. Now, and probably next, I can pull out this being the change and the timestamp I'll do. This is from a company called Procom that also did boards for IBM PS2s. And in particular, the 55SX riser, replacement riser called the Pira. I featured that on video before. But this is an interface without any of that buffer chip. Just goes through and adapts the wiring on one side from the system to that ribbon cable adapter. And it has the system and then the Procom side labeled in that. And also keyed. And does the same way where it just has that internal cable so you can connect up a drive. And I'll do schematics for all these, just what pins go to what. So this could ultimately be duplicated despite the copyrights on them. And I have a Procom drive, and this is more complete, all fastened together with the drive not moving around inside, and even the model number. And by that marking and that's like maybe like a Procom transfer, the XF, and then the 1200, I'm taking that to be a 1.2 megabyte diskette drive. And there's the 37 pin connection for that external cable. And I do have 2 of these little boards. So showing both of the sides for that. So that is the Procom set. Okay. And still leave all these cables and adapters. And then I have, this is a very I think these are both the same to, you know, who knows what that, one of these, okay, that's the keyed version. Yeah, I only have one with the pin connects, and that's got that keyed in there. And these have all 40 pins for both of those. So I don't know which units that those pair up with. And they don't seem to be marked. Well, I might be able to track that down. What that which interface that goes to of these types. And so lastly, I have those SYSGEN drives. This is the one I just got in. And this is the unit I had. They look like just near identical. And it actually has a pass-through for the Procom version. It's got a block out back here on the panel. But I'll get opening these enclosures just to see how these drives are ultimately wired up. Typically this 37 pin interface just goes for a 1-for-1 layover on the 34 pin connection drives. And I even have I've got opened up 4869 IBM drive, this 1.2 megabyte around here as well. Maybe that'll be another video once I open up these enclosures and a little bit of an unboxing sequence in that regard. Now the SYSGEN, oh, that's where the keyway comes from. Okay. And this is for the Model 50 and 50Z. Same sort of thing. I believe this is like a later revision because it doesn't have I've got one that has a bodge wire on the back It's labeled, and that's a revision B. And some interface chips. But two of basically the same type of adapter for the SYSGEN. At least I have two drives now for that. And it has jumper selections, whether it's tape or disc. You know, these are on the disc side. And that's what that keyed... so this is for the SYSGEN side. That keyway fits to that cable and goes to the back bracket through, you know, this is probably generic between all the PS2 models. And SYSGEN had different versions of these, what these called these bridge adapters. I do have the manual for these and the software, the drivers that were used, that I can also replicate easily enough. And but they had, this is for the Model 50 since it mates to the riser for the 50 and 50Z. But there were versions for the even the Model 30 on the ISA side, or Model 70, Model 80, and then so it's the PSA, SYSGEN PSA 1050 for the Model 50 and 50Z. It'd be like the 1070 for the Model 70, so on and so forth for their model numbers. But these will be able to be diagrammed and get some schematic, so they have the ability to be reproduced. And there are other adapters, and these could be for the PC side or PS2. This is even a oh, and I still have the booklet inside there. I have this enclosure opened, and this is what I got this actually new, relatively new, online way back in the day. And they just have the enclosure, and this looks like it's for the 360 KB and user's manual, and has the enclosure, has a little board inside there actually, where it takes that 37 pin connector, external cable, and goes through and breaks it out for the diskette drive that's inside. Whether you mounted your own half height 360 KB drive. And then it's got the pass through for a power tap. And these other models would have a very similar thing of just putting that power for the drive over that ribbon cable. Now this one is notable that, yeah, I went through and actually figured out it had a wiring fault on it for the power. They inverted, I think, the ground in one of the power cables, because the ground is the two center pins and then 5 volt and 12 volt on either side. And that's why I have this extra cable kind of wrapped around here, that I figured out that it had a wiring fault. And I even wrote to the company telling them so. And this even has a switch. And this switch was for whether it was a Model 30 or microchannel PS2. And just apparently adapts some wiring. I mean, it's interesting they have the white over the some of the silk screen. No serial number, no revision number. Just some cheap reproduction of that system. It's not really branded all that well. I don't know if to take that as the 32nd week of 1987 for that PCB, of why that would be that'd be a little bit early, but around the time of the release of the PS2s in April of 1987. And the same basic interface chips is on that, like that SYSGEN, what they call the bridge adapter again. And so the manual, and they went through, very handy for, I can go through and scan this. See, it's system supported. IBM PS2 models 2530, 50, 60, and 80. No mention of the model 70. Okay. And I think that this did have some interface board that was very similar to the Procom style adapter, and these are both marked as Procoms. So it could be, oh, okay. No, this is another Procom adapter. So I have 3 of these little Procom interfaces, but it had a board that was very similar to that that was included with this drive enclosure. And I'll just have to see how that connects up, or what I can use of the other parts. Had both the microchannel and the regular bracket, depending on whether it was. I even penciled in the comma 30 for the mul 30 and /0 like I typically do. Okay. And the internal cable adapter, external cable. Okay, how to open up things, what bracket to attach, how to connect up the interface. Okay. And showing the switch positions for, depending on which model it was. But just another way for the external diskette, showing the, okay, they even include a program that was P format that was a little bit more particular for formatting the 360 KB diskettes. Of course, with command line switches, you could normally use the regular format command too. But that's just one of the generic adapters I had of that style too. So quite a collection of items. I did go through at one point. Oh, I even marked out for this drive that's in there. But okay, so Procom external drive, and I went through and even marked what the pinout was of those for the Procom. And then there was also, here's even a 1.44 megabyte drive in a littler enclosure. Same sort of thing, missing one little foot at the bottom. But the external 37 pin connector again. And this is marked with the brand of Pacific Rim Systems. And I don't know if this is particular to PS2s or some sort of more like a PC interface or something like that necessarily. I've not heard of that Pacific Rim brand. And apparently I've opened up the enclosure before because I've marked for my little sketch. I'll have to go through that again. Apparently pins 1 through 3. Oh no, excuse me. 5 volt DC is on pin 1. Ground is on pin 20. And probably ground is on more than pin 20. And the 12 volt DC is to pin 2. So that's the power side. And then the other pins being direct to the conventional pinout of that 1.4 megabyte drive. So I've got even some diagrams I did in the past too. I'll have to work and get some of the schematics going for these different drives. So there's an ability to go through and reproduce those. But quite a stack of things, and I do thank the person that went through and sent me the drives. As I say, that Cumulus drive, even though the conditions and everything else, I can work with that. I'm not worried about that at all. I'll go through and just some generic repair to get that together. But I mainly wanted to have that just for the ability to go through and look at reproduction, look how the interface is, in the pinout inside that enclosure of how it connects up the diskette drive, so it can go through and that system can be reproduced for all that too. And so I do intend some follow-up videos to this. Going through, I intend to address the 4869 drives as well. I've done that a prior video on those, the 4869-001 being the 360 KB external drive from IBM, and then the 4869-002 being the 1.2 megabyte drive. And I've got an example of that to go through from there for the IBM side, and even videos of them operating on the systems. I did have one of the SYSGEN bridge adapters in a working Model 50Z that probably has all the files and everything else needed, but I've got to do a cleaning. It looks like that motherboard, the planer on it looks a little dirty, so I'll have to do a little bit of cleaning and making sure that that planer is going to operate for me before showing it on video. But that's what I got in today to kind of complete some of of that external floppy drive or diskette drive thing that manufacturers came out with to interface to the PS2s, in particular the microchannel PS2s, as an alternative to those 4869 IBM drives. So expect that more from me. If you did enjoy this video, please click on that like button and please subscribe to my channel. We're looks like just shy of 280 subscribers now. I want to grow that quite a bit more, 4 times that amount. YouTube has probably been throwing in ads on my videos since I'm not up to that level of 1,000 subscribers, and the channel is not monetized to that level. But you know, I don't know how to feel about that. You know, but that is what they've done recently. So, but subscribe to my channel. We'll get enough subscribers to get past that about the inline ads. And certainly I pay for my own subscription on the what used to be called the YouTube Red. Now I think they call it the YouTube Premium, that gets my YouTube ad free for that. But that's all I have for now. This is IBM Museum. Thank you.